Julianne Nicholson, I know Dan Fogelman wanted you from the beginning for Paradise, and he has said he lied to Disney to shift dates in order to hire you because you had a scheduling conflict with Dope Girl. So how does that make you feel that he lied to Disney for you?
Well, I'm sort of already completely admiring of Dan and his vision and his commitment to sticking to his guns. So I guess he just kind of doubled down on that. I'm glad it worked out because I because I love being a part of the show and um yeah, it would have been bad if it could have gone differently. Let's just say.
Did he tell you he did this
No,
while
thank God. No, I'm very happy I did not have that pressure going in. I didn't hear about that until after the show had come out. So it was, my hands were tied at that point.
so I know you got the first couple scripts, right? So what about Sinatra spoke to you when you read it? Because she's a very complicated character. She's an evil genius,
Mhm.
ruthless, self-made billionaires, and yeah. So what about her spoke to you the most?
Dan, or I was sent the first four scripts, and I knew, of course, of Dan's work. I was already a fan, and of Sterling and James Marsden. I knew that they were, so it was very fun to have those two actors in mind as I was reading those roles. And I just thought the first episode that Sinatra is barely in, I found it completely gripping. I loved the energy of it. Um, I love his play with time, how he jumps around in time. And with that reveal at the end of the first episode, I was like, oh, okay. There's any number of places this story could go now. So my attention was already caught. And then I thought episode seven, which is called Sinatra, was just one of the most beautiful episodes I had ever seen in um, just exploring part of one woman's life. And I loved that she's an evil genius, but she's not just an evil genius. I think Dan is so brilliant in how he lets us, the audience, get to know his characters. And so then hopefully we actually really feel for them, like get to know them and feel for, whatever comes next. And I love that she is a complicated lady, that she's smart, that she's in charge, but there's also moments of vulnerability and deep hurt. And yeah, I just think she's also, kind of a badass.
Going back to the twist at the end of the premiere, did you see that coming, or were you prepared for a classic Dan Fogelman twist? Like we know
No,
he does this stuff.
no, I was just like la la la, like innocently reading, a political thriller, and then it was like whoop, and it got turned upside down. And I just love being surprised by my entertainment these days. It feels like an exciting thing when someone can pull the rug out from under you.
I do love that we get Sinatra's backstory so early in the second episode. Like we see how she became this way essentially, and we also see how she wasn't so uptight and domineering.
It's so fun. I mean, it just felt like, as I said, like a speed through of someone's life. All the like hot moments were ticked. But getting to know as much as the audience gets to know her, I also get to know her as the actor. Um, because I learn each scene a little bit more about who she is. And so I think it was so smart of Dan for the audience to get to know this character, but also for me to get to know her and really care about her and where she comes from. And, hopefully for all of us, our wish is like we have a long life. Life is long and it's not a bed of roses. Even the luckiest of people and the most privileged of people have knocks along the way. And it feels like it felt fun and moving to see, where she starts and where we find her now.
And you get to play so many tones and emotions in that episode too, because she obviously loses her son and hasn't processed her grief yet. And the therapy scene between you and Sarah Shahi, it's so heartbreaking because she says like time has not helped her and time is making it worse because it's moving her further away from when her son was here, and she has no desire to be healed. It's so like that's the most vulnerable we ever see her in the show. So, and
Totally.
she says she needs to just be functional for her daughter. So, how did you approach that scene?
Dan wrote that in such a beautiful way, like what that experience might feel like. And when I read that about time, I mean, it's still, even just thinking about it, breaks my heart. Like that idea of getting further away from the person that you love so deeply. It's just, there's something Dan just has well, he has a huge heart and he just understands like the human condition. And I feel like that's a real example of that. I've had people write to me saying that they've been through similar experiences, and how amazing it was to see it on screen and to make that connection, and to just feel something, like just a couple of sweet messages. And I just find that incredibly moving. I mean, that's such a lucky thing if you can touch people in that way, reveal life.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, she's the architect of the bunker, and it feels like she's very motivated by grief, but she's taking it to an extreme because she is
Yes.
essentially willing to let people die as long as it's not her family.
Yes, it's interesting because they've started filming season two, and I haven't had a full breakdown yet of season two, but I've received a few of the scripts, and I had a little like overview from Dan, and I think there's much more to be discovered about Sinatra, and where she's operating from. And in the first season anyway, I mean, yeah, she was protecting her family, but I did also feel like she was trying to protect the community at large. So, I mean, it's not any way to to play God and decide who should live and who should die. But I think in her understanding of the situation, it was, if the four came back, then it could go badly for everyone who lived, for the 25,000 people that lived in paradise. So I think it was weighing loss of life.
You think she's so heartless and ruthless, like she doesn't care about anyone but her family, but it's so clear that she didn't want Presley, Xavier's daughter, to die.
Yes.
Because she says don't do anything to the girl when she talks to
Yes.
Jane, and it feels like it like that whole situation stirs up her own grief. So why do you
Yes.
think she didn't want her to die? Like, is it because of her own grief? Does she respect Xavier?
Yeah, I think it's basically what you just said, that the loss of a child, which you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. And I don't think she thinks I don't think she thinks Xavier is necessarily her worst enemy. I think there's like still respect there, as you suggest, and he's getting in the way. But um I think she wouldn't want anyone to suffer that, what she's experienced. But yeah, there still is a little beating heart in there. Who knows? Maybe she's like the Grinch, and maybe her heart, it shrunk, and maybe it'll get bigger again. I don't know.
Like expand in season two.
Exactly. We'll
Well,
see.
when Xavier barges in, it kind of feels like she is prepared for him to kill her because she thinks his daughter is dead. Like she also says, "God forgive me."
Yes. I know, but there's also, I don't know. I think another great thing about Dan's writing is that, there's room for interpretation, like throughout the season. And I mean, I think too, when I watched that last episode, that scene, and she sort of gives a look to her two guys, her like bodyguards, her security, like I don't know what she's told them to do. Like, wound him? Like, are we gonna put him in jail? Like, there's any number of that. I feel like that scene could have gone any number of ways, but she's definitely ready for uh, a problem.
Yeah. I mean, well, he shoots her goons down, so it's like he was prepared.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was prepared. He had that gun in his pant leg, and he was good. But Xavier, he's a smart cookie.
And then the biggest twist, Jane shoots Sinatra, but not fatally because she needs her alive.
No.
What did you
Yes.
think of that?
Well, I thought it made for good television. It made for some exciting viewing. I'll tell you who didn't like watching it was my daughter. She was so I of course, because I did it, I mean, it was not a fun scene to shoot because even though of course it's acting, it's still not pleasant, when especially when the acting is so good as Sterling is, like it's not nice to be on the end of that weapon. Um, but I thought I love how Dan, like no one's safe, which for me is an exciting thing because like the stakes are so high. You don't know who's going to be picked off.
Uh, I do love that Nicole or Jane shot her and let her live because it's almost like Sinatra created this monster. You know, she's shot by the person she has dispatched to kill others.
Yes, I know. It's like the ultimate full circle moment.
Yeah, it's like she couldn't control her son's death, so now she's trying to manage everyone around her, and this one lady is now out of her control.
Yes, I know. I feel like she keeps getting examples of how like, she is trying to play God and is thinks that she can control everything. And I think she just keeps life keeps handing her these lessons of like it's not as simple as that. You're not in control.
Mhm. So, how do you think? I know you said you haven't got the full picture yet of season two, but how do you think this whole situation will shake her? Like, the last image of her is like she's in the hospital room,
Yes. Well,
sedated.
Dan has assured me I will make it out of the bed. So
Okay.
that was a comfort. Yeah, I'm excited to see like what happens with like the power dynamic in Paradise now.
Yeah, is there like an interim
With
head
right.
honcho while
Like
she's
is it
recuperating?
is it President Baines?
No.
Like is it I think that that's something we'll have to wait and see.
Well, what else have you been told? What can you tease about season two?
Well, I know some of it is well as sort of teased at the end of the finale. Like they do go outside of the bunker, and so there is a whole um world to discover outside of what's happening in Paradise, and that's pretty exciting thing to explore.
Okay.
And then as
Oh
I
yeah,
said,
go ahead.
the power shift within Paradise. And then there's so much more to be revealed with time and pre and post the day when it all goes wrong.
Does Sinatra now regret not giving Jane the we?
Yes, I think she does.
It would have been so simple.
Oh my gosh, if only. I know. She might take a beat next time Jane asks her for anything.
Yeah. Season two will open with her waking up and giving her 10,000 wheeze.
Yes, or maybe they can open up and we're just both playing like Wii tennis together in a room with our
Yeah,
like
that's her rehab.
our goggles on. Yes, back to life.
Well, I love that this was also a reunion for you and James Marsden after Ally McBeal, like 20 something years.
I
What was
know.
that like?
Oh my God, it was so fun. I loved meeting James and working with him on Ally, and we became fast friends. It was me, him, Regina Hall, and Josh Hopkins. We all came in on the same time, so we became like a tight little unit pretty much right away. Because it was a little scary to, come into that show because it was such a huge hit and there was so much drama around it the first few seasons. That had all actually kind of dissipated by the time that we were there, and it was so much fun and everyone was really welcoming actually. And I've seen James a couple of times over the years, but not a lot. And so it was actually when we got to work together, our first scene was when he shouts for me when we're at the like Davos like convention where I'm trying to go after that scientist. He stops me and that was our very first scene to shoot and it was very sweet to be, as you say, 20 plus years later back in a scene together and like, oh, my friend. It made me just feel like again like the passing of time. It felt very bittersweet and moving to, be reunited in this way. And I
I
love
think it's also cool because like your characters have history on the show too.
I know. It really was helpful. It goes so far. I mean, you can create all you want as an actor and you can use your imagination and all that. But if you have the years, if you have that, knowledge of each other when you're 30 years old and then you're meeting again when you're 50, like it's pretty special, and I feel like you can't fake that there's something extra there, and I was just so grateful to have that. And also, he's just one of the funniest people I've ever met. So just sitting off, on set waiting to film was just like total joy, and talk about our families and talking about our friends, and it was really fun. And I think he's so talented. I'm so happy that he got the opportunity to play this character where he gets to show so much. I think he's incredible.